Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday night, and that is when we try our best to learn every week the Noam Elimelech from the Hasidic Rebbe from Lizensk. Just before we start that, it's just a very interesting thing, is that this is one of the rare years when Parshas Miketz does not fall during Hanukkah, because Friday will be the last day of Hanukkah. Shabbos already, Hanukkah will be over. And so therefore, we'll read the Haftarah of Miketz, which is Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, with the two mothers and cutting the baby, and not cutting the baby, whatever. So that's a very interesting bit of trivia, I guess, but it's not trivial. So let's learn. Zog the Heilige Rebbe Melech. Where you say it was the end of 2 years. L'chayra, but the way that they express it is not 2 years, but rather 2 years of days. Or, I mean, to actually literally translate it, Shnasayim is like, kind of like how you have a word like a fortnight for 2 weeks. If there was something like, 700 and 30 night, for 2 years. Like it's Shnasayim, it's a double, biannual, well, I don't know, semi-annual, no, biannual something. I don't know how you would translate it directly, but it means 2 years of days. And that's what the Rebbe Melech is going to make the diuk on. He's going to make his focus on the scripture. And again, these are the types of things that are lost in translation. And that's why it's so important to study scripture in the original language, in the holy sacred Hebrew, because otherwise you wouldn't notice this. You wouldn't even think to ask a question, right? It seems that it would have been, more normal, I guess. And again, this is an apologetic argument, is that a lot of people want to claim that our scriptures were sourced from, what they say, 4 different sources and then edited. And the question is, who was this editor, this redactor that they claim, that brought it together, made our Chumash, who did all these weird things? So to me, by virtue of the fact that there are so many anomalies, grammatic anomalies and spelling anomalies, points to the idea that the scripture is totally divine. It doesn't prove that it's divine, of course, but it disproves the theory of a redactor. Because what kind of redactor is this? Any editor who would produce something like the Chumash would be fired. And so to me, it's a sign that, at the very least, for a very long time, people believed this to be divine. It wasn't just suddenly introduced and later thought to be divine. That whatever state that it's in now, however long it's been in that state, people have believed it to be divine. It wasn't just something that was redacted the way that the Talmud, the Mishnah, was redacted. We know who redacted the Mishnah was Rabbeinu HaKodesh. We know who redacted the Babylonian Talmud was Ravina Ravashi, right? But then it's just a theory that there's this redactor in the documentary hypothesis of higher biblical criticism that I think, particularly as far as the Pentateuch, and I think it's very clear that it can't be, because if it was a redactor, he would have just written Shtei Shonim. He wouldn't have written Shnasayim Yomim. What does this mean, Shnasayim Yomim? And there are many, many other examples of that. That's a small, minor example. Again, obviously, it doesn't prove to the non-believer, but it disproves the theory that the secularists have. It doesn't necessarily disprove it, but it makes it far less likely that the theory that the secularists have is indeed true. Nir lefarish al derech haremez. So it seems that we could explain this in the sense of a hint. Tehine tzaddik tzarich la'avod tamid l'Hashem yisborach. The tzaddik needs to constantly worship the blessed Lord, Baruch Hu may be blessed, l'kasher gashmius v'ruchnius. And he has to attach materialism and spirituality. He needs to attach the material world to the spiritual world. Meaning everything a person does. Whether it's eating, ushtia, drinking, and every physical thing he's doing. Everything, literally everything. His intentions and his concentration has to be up in the higher worlds, and have intentions of supernal unity and unifications. Rav Aryeh Kaplan, he wrote a book, one about the Hasidic masters and one the Infinite Light, and they're both basically the same type of book. It's just the Infinite Light is talking about by subject matter, and the Hasidic masters, I don't remember if that's the name of the book, is by each tzaddik separately. So I believe in the Hasidic masters book, he talks about the Rebbe Melech and the Kedushas Levi and other tzaddikim, Reb Nachman and Breslover, other tzaddikim, of course the Baal Shem Tov HaKodesh and the Toldos and the Magid, and translates some of their Torahs in a popular and easily readable manner. And he says there, if you go to a Hasidic community in Williamsburg, right, you're going to encounter Balabatim, but they're going to have a Hasidic Sefer as part of their milieu, and usually it'll be the Noam Elimelech and the Kedushas Levi. That's what you're going to encounter in Williamsburg and Borough Park. And he spoke about someone, a balabas, a lay person, a Hasidic lay person, who works for a living, performs some kind of a menial job or a skilled job, whatever it was, or a physical job, whatever it was. But he said, Rav Aryeh, he says how he imagines that this chassid, when he's doing whatever he's doing, he's sewing, or he's working on a car, or he's typing he's at the cash register, that he has kavonas, not only when he's, let's say, he chaps some learning next to the cash register. Like I remember my wife was very mispal, that she was in Muncie shopping the grocery store, and she said a chonyakish younger man is working as a cashier in a grocery store, a small grocery store in Muncie, and he had the sefer there, and he's learning really almost with non-stop, right? And she said this Hasidic younger man, he's holding up the whole world on his shoulders with this mitzvah of the way he's learning Torah while he's at work. And she noticed, how Erlich and everything, and you see authentic tzidkis among simple people who are not so simple. And Baruch Hashem, nowadays, these not so simple people are Talmidei Chachamim also, because Baruch Hashem we have access to Torah in the way that it wasn't in the old days. Can you imagine the Divrei Chaim, the Sons of Rov, the Gadol Ador, didn't have Sfarim in his house because he had no money. So everything was in the Beis Medrash. That's where he did all his learning, was in the Beis Medrash, because he didn't have the luxury of Sfarim in his house. And now we have here on the phone the whole library. It's amazing what we have. And that's why I always say, and I'll repeat it again and again, like it says Hillel Mechayev Esaniyim, that Hillel gives responsibility on all the poor people. They have no excuse, because are they poorer than Hillel? Yosef Tzaddik, Yosef Mechayev as Harashoyim, right? In last week's Parsha, right? And and our excuses are taken away by these tzaddikim because they set an example. And then I think it was Nachman ben Gurion ben Nachman ben Gurion and Mechayev Ashirim. I don't remember. See, with Amar Tzayim. I read through 5 block Gemara today, 3 Prakim Mishnayos, and I know nothing. I'm just saying the words, but it's still a mitzvah. Anyway, and that's already something. But the point I'm saying, as the phones that we have, this Faria and all these apps are mechayev everyone, or at least everyone who has a smartphone. If you have a smartphone, you have no excuse not to learn Torah on your phone. And there's a tremendous chiyuv. Even, all right, so then people are saying, Sfaria, the people who run it, they're apikorsim. All right, they are, but it doesn't matter. So you use a different app, whatever it is. Torah people like, whatever. I like Sfaria. I'm sorry. And if that's, I have to answer after a din of becheshbon lachamei esrim that I ate kosher meal out of a non-kosher pot. All right, that was the way they would tell us. When I was a bacher, a young bacher, I remember I liked the Hebrew Publishing Company in Cincinnati and these books, and then they say, they could be kosher meat cooked in a non-kosher pot. It's not kosher, right? So just because someone from Jews College is teaching from the Rishonim, maybe it's not whatever it is, but sof kol sof, I'm not so charedi like that. All right, I wear vaisazok in Shabbos, and I eat only chol Yisrael. Okay, but with these things I'm not so charedi. With those things I'm modern, so I'll be modern and learn from Sfaria. But anyway, the point that I'm saying is, so this younger man at the grocery store, all right, he's learning when he's taking a break, which we have to do. I remember Rabbi Weinberger, and I fell over all the time. So because inside that, people who don't know, I learned, what was it, 2 years? A year? It was a year and a half, and a little bit more than a year and a half. It was the end of 10th grade, all of 11th grade, and half of 12th grade. I was by Rabbi Moshe Weinberger. Big schus to have such a special Rebbe, right? Not just, all his balabatim, they call him Rebbe, but he was our Rebbe in high school. He was our Maggid Shir. But it wasn't in the shir. It was a tape from the shul back when they had the tapes, and the tapes were so expensive. I remember, it was like $9 or $7 or something for a tape, and we didn't have money, so I only had a few tapes. Now it's all free. Amazing, how we were chalishing to hear Rabbi Weinberger, and now you go on YU Torah, all Rabbi Weinberger's tapes for 30 years are all free. Can you imagine what a big schus we have, what we can accomplish, how much we can grow and turn of Avodas Hashem? It's not just Rabbi Weinberger, there's so many tzaddikim and so many erlich and we have so much Torah that we have access to, and we have no excuse not to learn. So, but the point is, I remember Rabbi Weinberger, he said, by one shir in the shul, I think maybe it was Lag B'omer or something, it was like a tish for Lag B'omer, he said, you're at work, and instead of talking to your friends by the water cooler, you chap a Mishnah, or at least you chap a Mishnah before you talk to friends. but you have a little break, you have a few minutes, you chap a Mishnah. And the guys are so excited. I remember Benzi, who has the podcast now, Judaism Demystified. So Gesundsein, you should be well. Avoiding German Benzi. He always says, chap a Mishnah. Like we're so excited by what Rebbe had to say. So anyway, the point I'm bringing out is that Rav Aryeh Kaplan's Chusi Galenu, he was talking though about a German who's working, that he's making yichudim while he's sewing. He's sewing together. He's making yichud kuchabrichu shchinte. He's sewing together heaven and earth. Or he's hitting a hammer on the car or something. And there he has a kavana of making yichudim. That's what the Rebbe Melech is saying here. So whatever you do, you're making yichudim. You put. Right now I'm driving. And you can have like meditations, like I'm putting my foot on the gas. L'shem yichud kuchabrichu shchinte. I'm going to work so I can have money to do mitzvahs and so forth. And but not only that, but like the etzim thing, you can make a kavanah out of it. And but then the thing is when you're doing that, then when you eat, you have to eat in a holy way. You have to eat kosher food. Make a bracha, you got to do things the right way. If you're doing things the wrong way, what kind of yichudim are you making? If you're stealing and doing all kinds of averis and whatever else, so then it's a double worship below and above, because you're connecting heaven and earth both ways. That's how you have to conduct yourself all the days. And if that's the case, the day is really called a day. And if not, but if you don't make yichudim and connect spirituality and physicality, it's not a day. Right? We say that pasuk from Chayesora. We say it after Hallel on today was Rosh Chodesh, because it's Baba Yomim, Segula Farichas Yomim. So Abraham became elderly and he came with days. It's not just an expression; it means something deeper. Again, Ritzlaim B'Yom Shai Misnaig B'Kedusha. That his days that he conducted himself in holiness, Boel Kedusha Gemura, then he comes to perfect holiness, L'Madrega Zakein, that he's to the point of an elder, Zekona Chochma. Zakein means this one acquired wisdom. That's what means an elder, is a sage. That's what it means, and it was at the end of 2 years of days. The 2 years means something's for doubled, it's doubled. That after the tzaddik worked, the saint worked to get to this spiritual level, to get to the final rectification of that his days should be days. That's his whole worship. That's his whole divine service. That's a doubled worship that's connecting below to above and above to below. Via Gomer b'Kedusha, and then he's completed in holiness, and on this level, as Ayizka od l'madrega yaseir, then he's worthy to another level. The Hainu Pharaoh and Pharaoh dreamt a dream. Pharaoh Loshen Giloi. Parai means revelation. Like it says, the woman's hair was uncovered. Parai means something that's uncovered. The Pharaoh. The Hainush Nisgalulai Hasagel Yoina has revealed to him a higher level of understanding, that you can understand very high levels and very high worlds. And to this there's a hint to the word the dream. The cholim hu echad mishishim b'nevuah, because a dream is 1/60th of prophecy. So a dream is actually understanding the higher worlds. Echad mishishim, 1 out of 60. V'davar kosuv. And again, the scripture here is speaking in the present tense, because when the person's asleep, He's removed from all his five senses, which are preventing him from reaching those higher levels of understanding. It removes all the inhibitions. So that's why Scripture says that the dream was revealed to him. The truth is, if a saint is separated and abstaining from things of this world, so therefore his senses are not rooted in this world, then he's always able to reach those high levels, whether he's awake or he's asleep. And in the dream, he's standing by the river. This saint is always by the higher lights, because the river, the word river without the yud is light. Because we can really only call the higher worlds light. This is the festival of light. That's the way that our ears could understand. It's not really light, but that's the closest thing we can compare it to. When we think of something that's very important. Something we can understand. Because light is something that's very important by us, very very respected. And then why is there a yud in the front of the or? It's because the yud is the archetype that represents the higher worlds that were created with the letter yud. As it says by the Lord, Yud K, the Rock of Ages, but also means the artist of the worlds. And the Chazal tell us, the sages teach, that this world is created with the Hey, with the H, and the next world is created with the Yud, with the Y or the J. And then from the river there came 7 cows. Paras and Paris. Cows, it's a term of fruit. Shetzadik is a Paris of mitzvahs. That the saint is fruitful, and he does good deeds and devotions and connections to God and commandments. Scripture here is hinting that there are many different types of saints. Everyone's different, everyone's an individual, no one's similar to his friend. Each one has a hold for himself on these 7 higher levels. Someone learns Mishnah and he does it for his own sake. He is connected to the world of Mishnah. And if he studies the Gemara, he's connected to the Talmudic world. And so each one on his level and how he studies, however he learns Torah, and so that's how he's connected to a world in each of the 7 levels. And everything he does for its own sake, and whatever he does for its own sake, he's holding on in that world, in whatever level in the higher world that is connected to that thing. I don't think I have time. I'd like to learn this Lishma, but I have other things to do right now. So Baruch Hashem, we did a lot, but I can't guarantee we're going to do this later, but I have to daven Marav and like Chanukah Lecht. So the schus of the Heilige Tzaddik, the Rebbe Melech, schus Yeleinu, we should all be zeicher to the saga of these Olam Yonim, just like we learned. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. We'll see you later. All right, how do I turn this thing off? This one?